Hey everybody, we've got a new episode of Ask the D&D Professors for you tonight. I'm joined by Scott and Caitlin. Say hi.
Hi.
Um,
Hello.
a lot of times I host and read the stories, but tonight I get to listen to Caitlin reading things. We are looking at Reddit stories tonight from D&D AITA, right? Awesome. Almost got it. Sounding nice and convenient. Before we get started, a couple of reminders. Next week, we will be back doing an episode of Mothership, our sci-fi horror TTRPG. I think it might be the last episode. It kind of depends on how we handle it, but we're nearing the end. And then the week after that, we will be at PAX East. So hopefully we'll see you there. We'll have a table in the PAX Together intersection, and then we'll be running the Access Forward Gaming Lounge right next door. So it is much bigger than last year in terms of offerings. We're going to have video games, we're going to have tabletop games, we're going to have short form if you've ever wanted to just like try a little bit of D&D but you don't want to spend 2 or 3 hours. We're also going to have Gwent. You can build a custom D&D character, a Pokemon trading card game, and then a number of other systems. There'll be some Daggerheart. I think there's going to be some PBTA. Lots and lots of cool stuff. So a lot of our events are already live on the PAX East schedule, but you're going to see a few updates, a few long-form tabletop role-playing games going up soon. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions about those. But we're looking forward to it.
Hey.
I feel like that's the end of the announcements for now. I just really want to get started with some of these because I just glimpsed at some headlines Caitlin sent me, and they were a lot.
Well, and I think that I noticed the slight theme is that not a rules-oriented person. Most of them are problems with rules.
Okay.
So I think, like, asking two more rules-oriented people, I'm very curious to hear, like, how you side on these stories.
So you're gonna have to stop us if we get fully sidetracked
Yeah.
on like let's talk about the crunchiness of the rules
Yeah.
and completely miss the social dynamics at play.
We're being called out, but perfectly honestly, I should add, Caitlin is our designated player, as in does not DM, does not want to DM or GM, is happy to play.
Mhm.
And I really like that about you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Because also we do lose the forest for the trees a lot.
Yeah.
Us DM people.
Yeah.
So, would I be the asshole for wanting to rule lawyering a game with fairly new players? I started playing D&D not long ago, but I had read the books before I ever found people to play with. Now that I found a group, I find myself stopping the game to explain to the new players and new DM certain mechanical stuff. So this is a player wanting to rule, like basically backseat drive. We are at the end of a short campaign in which we are level 5. The BBEG is here, and one of the new players wants to throw a dagger at his eye. The DM agrees, and now he's half blinded and has disadvantage on all attacks, and I think that's super sweet. But this person wanted to stop the game and explain why that would be game breaking and kind of anticlimactic, but they didn't. Still bothers them. I can't help but wanting to intervene since we had to stop because a player had to go, but I feel like I'd be the party pooper if I did. I want to explain that there are abilities and spells that let you do all this cool stuff and direct them to it, but I always feel like I'm being overbearing. There's also other stuff like the artificer that's making potions of speed out of nowhere or making the mechanic of the campaign irrelevant with an immunity potion to the disease that the campaign revolves around, or a player that, knowing that there's already a mind reading PC, took the telepath feat and wants to now be the one doing all the detecting thoughts and presence around. Overall, it's been fun playing, and they have been pretty receptive to the criticism, but I fear if I push too much, they might think I want to control the game and not let anyone have fun. I understand this is a game of imagination, but I can't help but think that there are rules for a reason. Not saying rule of cool is off the table, but just not for every bit of the game.
I have a boring take and I have a hot take. But
Hot takes, hot takes.
but I'm curious to hear what you're
You want
thinking.
me to go first?
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Like the point is that people are having fun. I think there is a conversation to be had. Just getting a vibe. check regularly. Like, you could do it before play starts, after play starts, and be like, "Hey, guys, I really like rules, and I get really excited about the minutia of rules. Can I interrupt and say things? Am I doing too much? Can I do more?" Like, I think you just have to have a lot of communication. I also always want to turn to this player and be like, "The actual supreme rule is that whatever the DM says goes."
Yeah. Yeah.
But also that can be deeply uncomfortable.
No, you
I have a little bit of storytelling I can do about my experiences with this, but I really wanna hear your idea, Scott.
No, you basically said exactly my two thoughts. Like the boring take is you just have to talk to each other. Like it's okay to do it either way or somewhere in between. You just have to make sure that everybody at the table wants the same thing and it's going to be a
Mhm.
great time. So if everybody like they're new players, maybe part of this is, hey, let's all get together so that you can teach us how to play the game, in which case they'll probably say like, yes, please interrupt us. Like we're here to learn the rules. That's what this is all about. Like we want to get on board too, so we can all agree to that. And they might say, actually, like now that we've got a couple sessions under our belts, we kind of get what's going on, and we just want to throw the rule book away and have a good time. And that's a fine way to play too, so long as the person who's posting this message is actually happy to get on board with that, right? Like the where you really, I feel like all of these stories that we look at when it's D&D, where you get into trouble is when different people at the table are expecting or planning for different things to happen, and yeah, then you just get bad communication and nightmare situations. And yeah, my hot take is like there's no balance issue in this game ever because the GM rules the world, like is the world. Like, oh no, you blinded the big bad enemy. Well, you don't know how many hit points they have, so like everything is completely in flux.
I wanna note Will in chat says, "When I'm in someone else's house, I try not to tell them that their furniture layout is suboptimal." I like
Yes.
that way of looking at it. I mean, there's a couple different things in my brain right now. Number 1, I think some of this is also, how social media handles D&D, right? Like, there because social media is driven by engagement and nothing drives engagement like anger and hate and hating on things.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of content, like, in that vein, criticizing people that can sometimes predispose players to thinking about the game a little bit differently, like less storytelling, more mechanics, and not wanting to mess up and thinking you always have to make the optimal choice.
Hmm.
Um, I I was watching something the other day, speaking of, where, they were talking about how D&D is really like an opt-in complexity system. It has a baseline complexity that really isn't too terribly bad, like, there are crunchier things. But as a player, you can opt in to making more complex builds or not. Like, a lot of the free rules, for example, are the easiest to play
Hmm.
subclasses for that particular class. So there's a degree of opt-in complexity, and this conversation went in the direction of like, if you're choosing for it to be complex, you should accept all those consequences. And I don't know that I agree with that necessarily. It's an
Yeah.
interesting conversation to have because I've also seen a lot of people get really excited about a build they saw online or like optimize their build, but
Which
it's
is
not
good.
actually something they can play.
Yeah.
Like it's not getting them what they want. It's overwhelming them and they're not like enjoying time at the table. Like sometimes I love playing a barbarian because I really like lore, which sounds opposite. People are like, if you like lore, play a wizard. But like you don't have time to think about all
Yeah.
of that if you're a
Yeah.
wizard. Because
Oh, I have this like with so many of the characters that I build. Like if we jump into like a level 8 session or something and I build a fresh character for it, like I need a couple of sessions before I understand how that character works. I'm gonna make really silly choices in my first combat out with that character. Um,
what was it I jumped into with Strahd? We
yeah, you,
was it
you
10?
you took on one of the NPCs and basically like turned the stat block into this.
Oh, well that, but I'm also thinking the cleric when I joined because it was already like level 10,
Yeah,
12, something like that.
yeah, we were way up there at that point.
And taking a cleric at that level, there's too many spells. Like, I didn't realize how much complexity. I'm starting to understand why a lot of people just, like, never change out their spells.
Mhm.
Um,
And like we've played a lot with each other, but for us, there's still like rules that we're seeing for the first time because we haven't played a whole campaign up through level 20. There's levels of play I've never played a character at still.
So
So
maybe this is a problem, even if it's not just like new players.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say, the top comment is, trust me, no one likes a rules lawyer other than the rules lawyer. Learn to be helpful when needed, but not interruptive.
I mean, the fact that you're
I
not
like you, Scott. I'm just kidding. But
Hey,
we are really nerdy and interested in the rules, so we do ask a lot of hypothetical questions just because we're like, "Oh, that's cool," and Caitlin has to put up with it. I'm
Yeah.
just kidding.
No, that's pretty much.
and we're lousy with DMs. So like
But like there's the playgroup and everybody like has those expectations like ready for it. I
mhm,
think if you're in the minority and people are there to just be like big damn heroes and the DM is like, yeah, let's just be big damn heroes at level 5,
mhm,
then like because I also get that too. Like if you're excited about D&D and then you start at level 1 and you're like, this isn't what I thought
mhm.
I was playing, because you watch a lot of like higher level play on streams or whatever. I can see that urge to want to make the play feel cooler
Yeah.
than it actually is at times.
Yeah.
As
For sure. And I think like yeah, sometimes the rules get in the way and it's good to like have some sensitivity for that if everybody at the table is on the same page. And I don't know, the only like I think the big truth in that comment is that like yeah, if everybody else is having fun, then don't interrupt the fun that's happening.
mhm.
But this person is posting because they specifically are interested in the rules, so I think it's at least worth a conversation.
So someone also brought up
Absolutely.
like just difference in play styles, and OP is like, I'll just have to like they obviously want to play a different game than me, but I really enjoy the people, so like I'll just try to.
That's perfect. Yeah.
I would have advice for OP, and it actually came from me trying to learn how to DM, which is, if people are okay with it, this is so much easier to do online than it is in person. But if people are okay with it, I have their character sheets open. So, like, I can study their stuff and I can think about what I would do. And then I can think about why they did what they did. And a lot of times I was wrong, number 1. Number 2, it kind of fulfills some of that, like, I want to learn more about the system and get into the rules. It also helps me if it's like a lot of times I'm playing late at night and my brain is fried and I will zone out and I can't zone out. We're doing a heavy combat, and if I zone out, I'm gonna make bad choices. It's hard to get like logged back in. So like I will just kind of do that. Sometimes that's really annoying, and I try to check in with players and make sure they're still okay with it. The other thing I do want to say is that sometimes people like that. Like there may be a DM that wants that level of support. There may be a player that wants that level of support.
Mhm.
And um I'm sure I've abused people's goodwill with this in the past, but like we a lot of times the optimal setup for events that we do with OTG includes a DM and then someone that's assisting the DM who can move around, and if players aren't confident, they can ask questions just before their turn. So then they feel really good about what they're going to do on their turn, and it also just kind of helps keep everything rolling.
Mhm.
And I've seen more experienced players, or even just like players that are more into the rules, helping out other players when they want that help. So it's all about checking in, consent, communication, all that messy stuff that we don't like, but also why we're getting all sorts of valuable life lessons from D&D.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no wrong answer so long as everybody's on the same page.
Go
So
be your happy nerd self, OP.
uh, so our next story kind of like segues into this, as in I feel like this group of people could actually use somebody who wants to share their knowledge of the rules. So kind switching gears here, this person, am I the asshole for refusing to help a fellow player level up? So basically, I'm in this short D&D campaign party. We rotate DMs for context, so that's why we do short campaigns, which reads weird at first, but I was like, oh,
But that makes sense because it's us.
yeah. I was like, are you all like dwarves and gnomes and half? But anyways,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
that's how my brain knew. Anyway, the class I play is not important. What's important is Out of 3 people, I'm the most seasoned one, having played over 2 years as of this post, so I mostly help with what dice to throw in certain situations, monsters, and whatnot. I was also open with helping with level ups if the other players don't understand something in particular to the best of my ability. One particular player started out with her character sheet completely empty. No race bonus, no proficiency bonus applied to saving throws or other ability checks, no weapon proficiency, and we're currently level 2 going to 3, so we're all unlocking the juicy stuff. I helped said player putting everything they had missed into their character sheet, but made it clear to the DM it would be a one-time thing because honestly, it's not my responsibility, it's the players to level up their character. They have the player manual, both in physical copy and online PDF, translated into our language because they struggle with English, and they don't use homebrew subclasses. I got pissed off today because I don't want to help level up their character again, because honestly, it's all in the manual. So yeah, I may be the asshole in this case, but I need an extra external opinion. Should I just help again and again? I feel I shouldn't anymore, because honestly, how are you going to learn without using the manual? Please let me know, because honestly, it's making me pissed off and snappy, and I feel like garbage getting snappy with other people in my life that don't deserve it.
Hmm. I mean, I feel like this is you're always fully within your rights to like say, hey, I don't really have the bandwidth for that right now. Like, it would be nice and helpful of you to be there and be available for another player who is looking for some help. But if you feel like you don't want to do it, like, of course you don't have to. Like, just manage your own character and move on with the day. I don't know. It feels like this person's pretty frustrated about it. So I would say the best solution is for them to like take a step back from putting those responsibilities on themselves.
I don't think this other person would I don't know that they would want to keep pushing if they knew that they felt
Hmm.
this way. Like, you kinda owe it to this other player to, like, tell them how you're actually feeling about it.
Yeah.
It's also normally a request that would go to a DM. So
Hmm.
that's why I was, like, pausing and thinking and making sure I'm understanding this right, that it's a player not wanting to help another player, when it's like, normally you go to the DM for
Yeah, it's
that.
this person posting is frustrated that the DM isn't taking it on, or like having to tell the DM, "Hey, I would rather not be the person
Mhm.
responsible for this."
Yeah. What I'm curious to know is what happens when this person is DMing. Does that person go to them and
Right.
still ask for help
Yeah.
with things?
I'm just, like, so confused by the whole thing, um, because I like helping people level up their characters, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
that part confused me. I'm trying to move past that. And, like, if you help somebody level up their character, you may have more fun playing with them. But if you're frustrated with it, you're frustrated with it. There's gotta be other people at the table.
It is funny though, right? Like I feel like whenever we're starting a new campaign, everybody is like telling everybody ideas for all of the characters. Like, oh
Oh,
my gosh,
yeah.
so cool. Have you tried this spell with that build? And yeah, I don't know. It's a little unusual to see someone who's like actively resistant to that. I wonder if something specific happened to make that the case.
I'm
I
also just wondering why that person doesn't, like, figure their shit out. I don't know. Like, I'm so confused by every part of this story. Um, yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Caitlin.
no, I just have a couple like as the person who knows the rules the least
Hmm.
slash not related. It's like yeah. Oh, so technically, I own a player's handbook because there's one on our shelf. I don't know what's in it. um, like owning it and like wanting to engage with it in that way.
Hmm.
I don't know if you ever do this, but in my brain sometimes I just am like, all the space that I have is very valuable, and if somebody can help me with a thing, I will just choose not to onboard that skill.
Hmm.
So, like, y'all have been so generous in helping me do stuff like that that I'm like, you know what? I just don't have to onboard some of these things. And thank you.
But
Um,
that's also, like, being in community. And this
yeah,
is where I think this is what I'm deeply confused about, because like, playing a TTRPG is doing that,
Hmm.
like, gamified that. Like, both the players are doing that and their characters are doing that. Like, helping each other out, having different competencies. It just feels so like, what game are you playing and why are you playing it? Like, it just
Yeah. This doesn't feel like a very collaborative attitude in what we usually experience as a very collaborative recreation.
well, and is it like this person's not learning the rules, so they're not gonna step up and DM for everybody else? Is it it doesn't feel like this person's like taking the game seriously, so they're slowing
Right.
down like I feel like there's more to this story. Like, are you frustrated that they won't buy the player's handbook? So it's like a money thing? Like
Are you frustrated that they're a player who sits there and just like asks someone else what to do in combat every single turn, or like is scrolling on their phone and has to come up for air to be like, wait, what's going on?
It's kind of like when you read the like relationship-y kind of stories, and the
Mm-hmm.
thing they're talking about is never the first thing. And then like they start answering comments in the chat and you're like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
yeah, no, there's a whole other universe of information here."
Do we get much more insight in the comments on this one?
Oh, that's a good question.
I
So
do
what
think
I
like they're not the asshole, but I'm just confused.
Yeah. You never have to do something that you're not comfortable doing, but also what's going on
it
here?
seems like the more that they go on, so there's another comment. I don't expect them to know all the rules on the first try. That would be wrong of me as someone who had to learn them too and reread them 1,000 times. I'm happy to help with smaller things if you don't remember, for example, what dice you need to throw. But when it gets to a point that I have to repeat myself 6 times in a row because you weren't paying attention, even when I told you in the
Mm,
simplest way possible how to throw for that ability check, for example, and you just say, meh, I give up too hard, it gets frustrating.
right.
There it is. Yep, it was something else.
These people are, it sounds like, looking for a different experience at this table from one another, and that's, I would say, the source of the conflict.
And this person might want a different system. 'Cause there are other systems. Like you might want a different group with a different system. Because if you're playing with a bunch of DMs, like it is a different experience. Like I'm a different player after I started running games, and I think most of us are.
Yep.
We're just more aware of the rules. We're less intimidated by them. We're more interested about like. So this might just not be your vibe. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Every table has to figure out its own speed, and it seems like these two folks just aren't on the same page with what that is. I don't know.
That is totally fair. All right. From the DM side, am I the asshole for giving a semi-permanent debuff to my players? So, a few weeks ago, I made a major story encounter to my players. After searching for a cult, they managed to find them doing a ritual with hundreds of cultists. Almost all the cultists were just standing doing nothing but holding candles. After the party realized that the cultists don't react to anything, some decided to kill one, but to them nothing happened. However, throughout the whole encounter, I was giving away subtle hints that killing the cultists might cause something bad to happen. While in total only 2 players have killed one cultist each, the murder hobo of the group decided to kill over 10. The debuff comes after getting to the end of the dungeon where the cultists freed an angel/demon from their seal, the creature taking away for each cultist killed 1d4 HP from the person who killed said cultist.
Whoa.
So I guess they lost 10d4.
It's like permanent max HP loss.
While I was hoping for the curious players to try to kill one to see what happened, I did not account for the murder hobo to kill so many. In my defense, the player never did such a thing before, saying that that's what her character would do because the cultists burnt down the village where she and her brother lived in, her brother dying in said fire, saying that she is just taking her revenge. So, what I did to not kill her from HP loss was to take away 10 and 2 points from all of her skills. The thing is, I'm fully going to return every HP and skill point taken away once the story concludes. However, my players don't know that in order to make the stakes a little bit higher. Anyway, said player has been complaining for weeks and started doing even more unhinged stuff since then. In my defense, all my players can receive skill points through training in the downtime while they travel, which happens a lot, up to 15. So, am I the asshole for giving such a harsh debuff to the murder hobo?
I have been this DM sometimes. Um, when you're learning how to do things. And I think the problem that I would often catch myself in is like from the DM's chair, it seems so much clearer than it is from the player's chair. So this person is saying like, "Oh, I've been giving all of these subtle hints." I fully believe that there's a world where none of the players picked up on any of those hints. And if you make a campaign decision like this, where like your players feel like something is being taken away from them and they feel like that might be permanent, and they didn't have enough reason to suspect that this was going to happen and be able to plan on it and avoid it, and it's unclear to them how they're going to recover what they've lost, I think, yeah, you're the asshole.
I am shocked that Scott is coming down harder on this person than I am. I'm just doing some self-inventorying right now. No, okay, you're absolutely right. Subtle hints might as well not exist for
Yep.
players.
Yep.
Like you do have to hit them harder than you think, because you got to remember these are adults. They're usually most of us that are like writing on Reddit, I think, are old. I don't even know if the young people do this anymore. This is old people. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think players tend to have a lot on their mind. They might not pick up on the hints. There's also a tradition of DMs just trying to scare players in a way that like can get misconstrued. That said, I approve of murder hobo consequences. I think this is a really cool mechanic. I do think it is always okay to dial back your mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Like it is always okay to dial back your mechanic or to adjust consequences if it ends up hitting in a really, really weird way. Interestingly enough, Will in chat, I'm about to shout out here. But like we've had times where the math, we look at the consequences of something. We knew there could be negative consequences. We did not understand like the degree.
Mm-hmm.
And we were looking at a situation where a character was going to slowly fade away. Like mathematically, it was not super possible for them to not slowly die.
Yeah.
And it was going to be pretty torturous, and it wasn't quite the vibe of the campaign. He did not tell us how, but he was really clear with us. There is a way out of this.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, sometimes it is good, even if you're trying to keep something mysterious, is there something you can say above table that is not too subtle for them to not get, but very
Yeah.
clear, that gives them that hope to fight? Because I also think maybe I lean too hard on the we're learning valuable skills at the table, not in like a weird life skills will teach you to be less autistic kind of vibe, because this game only teaches people how to be more autistic. I'm sorry. But in a like, we're learning how to negotiate and we're discovering how we can be brave and how we can be empathetic and how we can be clever.
Yeah.
And, facing something that feels impossible, but knowing that there is hope, that is really important. And you have to remember, as a player, you could also choose to just, I mean, that obviously I'm going to say this after Mothership, you can choose to end that character, right? Like if you don't think that that character would fight, if you're like they got their revenge, they got the consequences from their revenge should destroy them. Talk to your DM and
Yeah.
have that happen.
That
And
can be a
because if you're
story.
going to be a murder hobo saying that's what my character would do, you have to live with the consequences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's where really cool stories get told sometimes, are in the consequences. Like, I'm not saying not to be a murder hobo because your character wouldn't do it, but like you have to. I love this idea of giving them consequences. I love the idea of it feeling very permanent,
Yeah.
but there is a potential way out.
Yes.
You can. I don't like the degree of specificity that the 2024 versions of the restoration spells have. I liked the vagueness in the 2014 ones.
Yeah.
I would say, why not adapt it or have some special cleric NPC they can encounter who can like help them undo something.
Mhm.
This
I,
is all, but yeah.
I love all of what you're saying here. I want to like just go back a little bit to
Mhm.
what you said about say something above table. I think this is a perfect time to pull that lever because like sometimes the characters are braver than the players are. Like what you're saying about like learning some skills. Like sometimes you can learn from the character that you're playing. And if you as a player know that like, okay, it's going to be a couple of sessions and it will be frustrating, but we'll get through this, and you maybe can play that character as the brave person that you're imagining them to be. They don't know that things are going to turn out okay, and that can result in some really cool gameplay and some really cool role playing. But I feel like, yeah, as a DM, like it's it. I've heard other DMs like talk about how different game mechanics are that reward players by giving them things versus ones that punish players by taking things away. And it's completely disproportionate, right? Like you get a reward and you're like, yeah, this is what's supposed to happen. This is according to the script of every other game I've ever played. I do a thing, I get a reward, I go on and do the next thing. When something gets taken away from you, gets taken away from your character, it feels catastrophically bad. And like just to yeah, to break the fourth wall with your players for a second there and say like, hey, I know you feel bad. This is inside of the game. We're gonna get past it.
Mhm.
Please get on board and play your characters. And if at that point they're still not into it, then like then it turns into a bigger conversation about like, hey, what are we all looking for out of this experience? Because some of us are trying to tell stories that are a little bit more involved, engrossing.
And
Uh,
dark. No.
could be.
But yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. Well, and to be clear, even if you're somebody that like maybe your table's decided they don't want to have a lot above table, they want to stay in character. You got a cleric or a paladin or a warlock, you have like an instant way for them to get some information.
Hmm.
Um, you can always have people roll insight checks. But remember, only have them roll if you're willing to have them fail.
Yeah.
And it could just be a degree of how much information you get or how much you're feeling or what you know.
Hmm.
You can always introduce an NPC to give them information. So I think there's also like in-game ways, but the point is to
Yeah.
be clear.
Mhm.
Um,
And just to clock that like your players are not having fun, and like regardless of the stakes that you feel are attached to like telling your story and telling it the right way and telling it honestly, um, maybe noticing that your players aren't having fun means it's time to make an exception.
yeah.
I don't know. What do you think of this one?
I I think it would be really important for me as a player to have that above table moment that like it's going to be okay,
Hmm.
that like there is a way out of this. I
Mhm.
think also just a healthy reminder, and this kind of came up in the way that you were talking about it, Elizabeth, that like in some of like the failures or like the consequences, like their story in that, like that's also really important. And I think it's really easy to lose sight of like,
Yeah.
you know, a die roll gone wrong or whatever is still story. And um like whenever I get reminded of that, I'm much more comfortable with how that
Hmm.
sort of a thing, plays out.
Yeah, with leaning into a failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And
oh, go ahead.
the other thing about here is, they say that like the player has been doing even more unhinged stuff ever since, and I feel like you gotta talk to that person. Like you can't just let that like sort of character self-destruction,
Yeah.
happen if they're just doing that to try to like piss you off or whatever. Like I just feel like there's some communication above and beyond table that doesn't seem like is really happening here.
Hmm.
Um, that would be really important.
Yeah.
Because like whenever you do shit that I don't like, I just tell you afterwards. I'm like we'll sign off of Discord and I'm like, I hated that
Yeah, that was no
thing.
fun.
That thing was not
That didn't go
fun.
great.
Morwin did not have a good time.
Right.
Yeah, I'm really interested. So I've been working through the rule book for Brindlewood Bay, which is a Powered by the Apocalypse like system, or using that system. And it has an interesting mechanic because there's moments that you want the players to be the characters in the story, but there's also moments where you want the players to be an audience to the story.
Hmm.
So, like, it has built in occasions where you narrate something that the characters never see, for example. One of these mechanics is really interesting in this kind of context, And some of this grew out of my search for like how do we support players that have anxiety or have damage to the areas of their brains with emotional regulation, like cannot handle failure.
Yeah.
Um, like how do we help them have fun, but like still have the game matter? This mechanic, if you fail and something bad happens to your character, like maybe there's a character death, you can choose to put on a crown, and then there's a mechanic that kicks in. You pick which box to check off, and it'll be like, tell a story from this character's past, effectively. And there'll be like different categories of stories. You do that, and then you basically get to rewind that didn't happen. That was a parallel multiverse, basically. So, what actually happened?
Cool.
Now, there is a limitation on this where, like, as written, if you do it so many times, your character retires. Effectively, they're like, okay, I'm done adventuring. We're good. And you can make a new character to rejoin the story. It is interesting though, because you could encounter that and be like, well, then there's no like risk and no whatever. And then you realize, okay, but that's not the system. This system is about something
Yeah.
else. So I always like we talk a lot about D&D. We do a lot with D&D. We started doing stuff with D&D because we were asked.
Mhm.
But I do love exploring these other systems and seeing how they deal with the idea of consequence.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that, like, just the idea that, yeah, different tables are going to want to handle consequence differently in the first place. And maybe part of that decision is just what system are you playing?
Um,
What did the commenters say on this one?
The verdict was not the asshole.
Okay.
Yeah. Um and like none of you just have sort of two different experiences of the same event.
Mm-hmm.
So for one commenter says, "Well, I do think there should be consequences to the characters the players are playing a game. It might be hard to balance when to give your players meta information and when to keep it hidden so that it has more impact, but I found that sometimes it is just more enjoyable for your players if they are in the loop with regards to things directly affecting their PC, so to speak."
Yeah.
My main advice with this situation would have been to let the player know that this is temporary, that it can be reversed. I think your player feels like the consequences were not properly communicated and being punished unfairly, even if that is not the real case. In short, communication is key.
So good.
I mean, there is a universe in which the player is just a dick. Like, I do want to name that. I have played with people that are like, I just want to kill as many things as possible.
Mhm.
And this is the problem I have with like combat-based XP systems.
Yeah.
Because it's like if you can get XP faster by killing things, of course you're gonna be a murder hobo. And
Mhm.
depending on like what your gaming background is, I find especially people that come from video games that are that way, like they're more likely to be like killing everything is better.
Yeah.
Um, so you do have to kind of communicate those expectations. And I've seen people occasionally try to bend safety mechanics to be like, I don't want any consequences for my actions. And then you have to be like,
Uh-huh.
if NPCs can't do it, maybe PCs shouldn't do it, like that kind of vibe. But yeah, it's funny. It always comes back to communication and expectations.
So many of these stories, it's all about that.
Speaking of
Oh
communication,
no.
Ooh.
am I the asshole for lying about my actual class to my party for 11 months?
No, you are awesome. Like, I don't know what's happening here, but you are my hero. That is so cool.
So
And I
hear me.
definitely tried that once.
My
So
significant
well.
other was starting a new campaign, and I had the idea to create an Aasimar warlock who pretends to be a cleric of Torm. Essentially, the backstory was just built around them trying to be a cleric and not being able to, so they ended up creating a pact with an archfey. My SO thought it was a cool idea, so he worked with me to find a bunch of ways to make the secret work, and I put in like a week of work to figure out what cleric spells I could pretend were mine, guiding bolt for witch bolt, etc. I committed to the super holy cleric vibes and never explicitly said I was a cleric, just that I would be the party healer. Everyone else in the group just trusted me and fully believed I would do that. The DM and I dropped a couple hints here and there, but we ended up just outing me as a warlock after 11 months for story reasons, and everyone at the table was caught completely unaware and had no idea and were a little upset. I'm not sure if it was at me or upset that they didn't figure it out. Anyways, am I the asshole for lying to my D&D table for almost a year because I thought it would be a fun idea?
That is so fucking cool. Like the closest I came was that Well, there was a jettisoned idea that I'm keeping close to the chest in case I want it later. But I had a character who thought she was a cleric, but she was actually a bloodline sorcerer.
Ooh.
But like that was above table, at least with the DM. And we had like cool ways of doing that where she thought it was a holy symbol, but it actually had a drop of her blood in it. And like we had some cool stuff going on there. But that is badass. I love this person and the DM.
Yeah, that sounds super cool. I I always want to do this kind of thing, and it's always so hard to like get the timing right on like how far do you take it and when do you like it's always so tempting to let everybody in on the secret or like you
We also all snoop a lot.
fair.
Like, we ask ultra specific questions that make this hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's actually true.
It actually
I
makes me
love
want to try playing where none of us tell anybody like what we are. We just ban any conversation of class mechanics, subclass.
that'd be super cool. Like you're only allowed to describe your abilities like in descriptive terms, not in game language.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It would be a good exercise for us to get better at that too.
For sure. I love like very, very small scale version of this. I love Gustavo's character Umbros recently, who like was a pretty unusual multi-class, I would say, and came in and didn't tell anyone. And like
Not tell us.
just this is the same, play group where there are many DMs and people were like very, very invested in figuring out what's going on? What is
But
this?
we also did not, if I remember correctly, none of us ever asked him.
I
Like
don't
we
think
were
so.
so invested in this concept of us not knowing what it was.
Yeah.
Like I was paying attention if he happened to name a modifier or be like, I would rather, can I use this skill instead of that skill? And like
Uh,
trying to,
Yeah, it was like a game
yeah.
of Clue, like you're
And then,
crossing
yeah,
things
no,
off.
because he would like, I mean, I think he grew a level before we saw him use an ability
Might have
where I was
been.
like, oh shit, like how? How did you do that?
Yeah,
And you could tell he was like holding a lot of power in reserve
yeah.
to play things close to his chest, which fit the character
Did the character
perfectly.
so well.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So it's not like the most min-maxed mechanical creation, but
Mhm.
it's still like one of my favorite uses of character stats for like characters in our
Yeah,
group because
yeah.
it's like it's min-max in story. Like
Mhm.
everything had a purpose and the way it was played was so careful and
Yeah. I had so much fun going back and forth with him on email when he was designing that character because like he really wanted to immerse himself in the well, this is, he joined at level 12, level 13, something like that.
yep.
So it's like he knew that he was coming into like a very well established play group where you'd gone through a lot of stuff together and like had a lot of in-game moments to look back on and lore and things. So he wanted to like set down some good deep roots. So that was really really cool.
It's very cool. I love this idea so much. I mean, I don't even know how to devil's advocate this one. Like, how could this person be the asshole?
People are mixed.
Really?
So, the top comment is, I don't think so. This sounds kind of cool. Guess it depends on the crowd and how much you might have lied outside the game about your character. If
Mm,
restricted to in-game only, I think you're good. And the person says, it was also outside the game. We wanted to keep them from letting the knowledge affect their role playing.
mhm.
Um, which I
I
think is,
still don't care. I still think they're awesome.
yeah.
Sorry.
Um, someone says, this person would obviously be upset. Maybe they're upset because what you bring to the table changes, higher level healing, restorative magic, and resurrection of cleric spells. Maybe you held back on some of the warlock abilities for fear they would out you. Maybe they don't appreciate the possibly not quite just a reflavor shenanigans your SODM did to camouflage warlock spells as cleric spells. Maybe they're looking back at the missed opportunities you could have bonded by sharing your secret with another trusted party member. Maybe it's a mix of a bunch of things, and the group is mostly annoyed and unimpressed rather than outright upset. As a rule of thumb, D&D is meant to be collaborative. Anything that is based on deceit typically ruffles feathers on most tables. It's possible to execute, but there's so many variables to keep straight that I would not recommend it to new groups or players.
It is true. You want good communication, but no one owes you anything when it comes to how they play their character. Like, if they show up and play their character suboptimally and take all the wrong spells,
Mhm.
they didn't owe you a damn thing. Like, they don't necessarily owe you that healing word so you don't die, but, like, usually we like to do that. But, like
I think this comment is on the
yeah.
right track, though. I feel like this commenter is just trying to suggest, like, here's a bunch of things that I think it could
Mm,
be. Like, just you're trying to get a read on what's going on for your party. You came here for some advice. I don't think that the commenter's not saying like, yes, you're the asshole. They're just sort of saying like, maybe let me help you to
yeah.
talk this out, right?
I think there's an element that, like, if I were a party member, that it's like, oh man, and maybe this is just the only child in me talking, but it's like, why do
Mm.
they get to be special?
Mm-hmm. Especially if your DM's like your SO is the DM.
Yeah. Like, why do they get this cool thing? It just sort of feels
If
like,
you 2 did that, I would think you were the coolest people on the planet. I mean, I
Yeah,
already
but
do, but
you're
you know what I mean? You'd be fucking legends. So I
yeah.
think my brain's just broken.
No, I wish I
But I
were,
am also like a middle/elder. It's confusing child. So,
yeah, like, I think there's definitely a piece of me that would look at it and be like, oh, like, you two are just playing this game, but it's like a different game than the rest of us are playing. So, like, that's cool.
Yeah, I could see feeling a little bit blindsided as a player at that table. I think Elizabeth, you always impress me because of how much you like you are there for the role play, like
I am there for the role play.
so
We do
hard,
have to honor that part.
and
Like,
you never
that's
lose sight of
legendary.
that. Like you really would just be jubilant about finding this out
Yeah,
about.
I think I'm just having a hard time finding the, like, "Oh, it's their character, they can do what they want."
'Cause I do
Yeah,
think it's a great storyline, and
yeah,
I think it's so much fun.
yeah.
Um,
I wonder how different it would be if they didn't even say what, but they said like, "Hey, folks, I'm doing something a little different, and I've got a secret, um, and I think it would be cool not to tell and see how it plays out." I wonder what they would have said up front if that was how it was presented.
mhm.
I still think it's super cool, but I think it depends what table you're playing at, right? Like,
It really does. And, like, do y'all know each other well? Um,
yeah.
'Cause you are relying on some trust there. I think I don't take what other people are doing as personally. I feel like if you told them you had a secret see, I get their instinct that if you gave them too many hints, the game would just be about them trying to figure that out.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it is like, we've all noticed it's really hard for players to let their characters not know things, but
Yeah,
especially for a long period of time.
especially new players, like, I think that's a
Like,
muscle
I
that
try to make a joke about a bag of holding above table, and it was a bag of holding, you know? Oops. Um, I thought, "Oh, it can't be a bag of holding." It's like, "Oh, no, I made this cool thing that the bag of hold" oh, sorry, Chris, ruined it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, I could see it a little bit, but I also don't. I'm sorry.
that's fair.
OP's a legend.
I think it's really cool, and I think hidden information is always tricky. I don't wanna say that they're the
It would
asshole.
be a lot more fun. I could see it like, the best case scenario is probably one where it's like, "Hey, we think it'd be cool if the flavor of this campaign includes, like, everybody has a secret, and we're gonna try to hold on to it as long as we can. We're not gonna try to pry, but, like, now the DM can build story out of it."
Mhm.
I did that with kids, and it was so much fun because it helped them get into the role play and get more invested. Um, and they would pester each other a little bit, but basically when they got to certain levels and had to level up, I'd be like, "Okay, you can tell your secret to one other person. Who would
Ooh.
you tell it to?" And then they have to think, 'cause a lot of times they might want this was a particular group where it was, like, sibling pairs and stuff like that. So they might be tempted to tell it to, like, the person they know better, but then they're like, "Wait, maybe I should tell it to the character." So in some cases, it made, like, really unnatural character pairings, but in other cases, it made, like, new friendships.
Yeah.
Um, so I do like those sorts of games. So maybe that's what it is, right? Is you just need the above table. Um, I still think it's funny to take it personally. In my brain, OP is a woman and the people mad at the table are men, and I don't know why. Um,
Yeah.
like, I'm just making that up entirely, trying to come up with a reason, but I don't know.
Yep. I mean,
It does highlight that, like, we're all different and what we want from the game is different. So whoever
Yes.
that is, come play with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Well, now I'll just have to do some shenanigans
Hmm.
the next time I make a character.
Absolutely. I would love to do more of this kind of shenanigans stuff at our table.
I really now want to do at least, and we could just do it as a one shot at first, but something where we do not tell each other what we are and we try to avoid using mechanical terms as long as possible. I
I
think
like that a lot.
I've got like a silly little one shot fairy tale that's like prepped and ready to go with maps and everything for something else. It's very straightforward. It might be fun to do that way.
Let's
That
do
would be
it.
fun.
I feel like it's going to turn into that meme where we're just like pointing.
The
We
Spider-Man.
recognize something. We're like, oh, I know what that is. But
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and would you say that Chris can't play a wizard? So that we don't just assume. Also me.
Chris has played lots of different
Yeah,
classes.
that's fair.
But he's played them all as if they're wizards.
Let me get my barbarian spell book.
Right.
I mean, it's a wizard or a himbo, and ideally both. Yes, well, mutual consensual gaslighting. Yes, that's the goal. I think
Right.
it could be fun though, in a way for us to like stop relying so heavily on mechanics when we're describing what our character does.
Yeah.
Yes. And also just a really great way to like immerse yourself in the like made up visuals of it all.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Really imagine what it all looks like and what it all feels like.
yeah. What are other people seeing when I do this thing? Because they're not seeing me cast, detect thoughts, roll.
The funniest one I think would be counterspell, because like it's the only spell that works that way in the game. It would be so obvious. But like, so the bad guy starts to cast this, but wait,
I throw my
wait,
hands up.
yeah. And the bad guy's spell stops happening.
I'm picturing vicious mockery, like you don't know if I'm casting a spell or if I'm just being a jerk. Could go either way.
You just described like I say this.
Your mom, yeah.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
But we could also do it where like the goal is not to hide from each other what we are, but to just like let
Yeah.
go of the crutches,
That's
maybe. Because I also think sometimes when we're really focused on mechanics, you can lose sight of like the cool way these different classes and subclasses and builds like move through the world and how they relate to each other. Because a lot of character building happens in isolation. Or
Mhm.
you get like, here's an ideal party, you need a healer, you need, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like how, you don't learn geometry in school because everybody is going to use a lot of geometry in their life. You learn it because like doing proofs teaches you like a certain way of thinking and approaching problems.
Hmm.
The same thing with history and English and all these other subjects. So it would be kind of fun to play with that. Like, how am I moving through the world differently?
Yeah.
With the caveat, because since we play online a bunch, it's easy to play online and just like message the DM if you need to. But like, if you have the mechanical question, but like try to stay in it as much as you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta give it a shot.
How could we roll for initiative
Ooh.
without rolling for initiative?
Yeah. We could all just message the DM or something. Or maybe, that's one where it's not giving anything away. It's just like,
I just think it'd be funny to
There
like.
are there are alternative ways to do initiative. I mean, I feel like we would still be rolling and things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess rather than a number, you would try to like fit your description into like
maybe.
the description, so it'd be like, okay, who rolled like this number to this number?
which is where if we do owlbear and turn it on, everybody can type in their own number, it sorts it, and then we just describe the order.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because in some sense, like if the DM sets the DC, then you can roll and just say, I hit, I didn't hit.
Hmm.
A lot of times that's hidden because it's interesting to hide it, but it might be interesting to invert that and like always have that information be visible to the player so they can narrate through it.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
Chris is gonna be like, no, what are y'all talking about? I don't know. He has a hard time saying no to us.
Yeah.
Truly.
And it's shenanigans.
But why would anybody want to say no?
I don't know.
To us?
I think we're lovely.
So, am I the asshole for recording and tabulating all damage?
Probably. I just don't know why you're doing it, but go ahead.
I'm playing a campaign with a new DM, so this hasn't been an issue in the past. The DM brought up that they don't like that I note all damage done throughout a combat and tabulate what damage it took to kill everything at the end. I do this to simulate gaining experience fighting a certain type of enemy. Each time I fight a wolf, for instance, I get more data and narrow down what sort of health a wolf has as well as what attacks they can do. I do this because it is more fun for me than metagaming and just Googling everything, yet I still can make intelligent decisions in combat. I will add that my DM's complaint was two parts. One, the extensive notes. Two, every time they roll dice for damage and don't announce the damage, I ask them how much damage was dealt. Their solution is that if they don't announce damage, I'm not allowed to ask. This doesn't feel reasonable to me to hide open information like that, but maybe I'm wrong. Am I the asshole?
I initially made that comment because I used to do this when I started playing. I didn't know what I was supposed to be writing down. So I would just write down everybody, what they did, how much. I just wrote down everything, which is how I pay attention in real life. So I would often figure stuff out. And this was when I was playing with a different group. We were doing Black Hack. So I was kind of making fun of myself at the beginning, just full disclosure.
Yeah. I will say I kind of like this as a way to like engage in a different way, but I like it with the asterisk that like your DM has to be okay with it. Because there's a couple of things that could be going on here. Like your DM might be putting their thumb on the scale sometimes,
I
and
wondered that.
they want to hang on to that possibility. And if that's part of their DMing style, then I think they should be able to do that with a clear conscience. Um, Obviously, it doesn't work with this player's play style, but I feel like they have to have a more frank discussion of like what are the stakes for each of them. I think this, it sounds like this player has made the stakes pretty clear from their perspective that like they do like this sense of gaining experience. And I don't know if you don't know the hit points for wolves like within a range to the point where you would be going and looking it up. It sounds like they might be a relatively new group, or at least this player hasn't DM'd before.
I think it's likely that. Also, I would immediately recommend that the DM start rolling hit dice instead of using the average for
Sure.
monsters. That would be my first recommendation.
Yeah.
And I hear you say it sounds like the players made the stakes clear. I'm not sure if the players made the stakes clear to the DM.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
think they understand themselves very well, why they're doing this and why they care about it, which is the first step, because there's a lot of times these conflicts really do center around like, you need to understand why you're doing this or like why your player's doing this thing.
Mhm.
So yeah, I totally agree. Like a frank discussion with the DM of like, hey, this is why I'm doing this thing. They
Yeah.
can be like, this is why I don't want you to do it and find a compromise maybe, but
Yeah, for sure. But I think the player should give the DM the space to say, like, hey, sometimes I'm going to fudge things, and so the way that you're trying to engage with the game just isn't going to work in the long run. It feels like maybe the DM is trying to like safeguard that possibility without saying so directly. And I know that like that can be a touchy subject for playgroups too, right? Like a lot of people try to play in a very like rules tight kind of approach,
Mhm.
and it would destabilize that unspoken agreement to admit like, hey, sometimes I'm going to fudge things or that sort of.
Sometimes I need a bathroom break and the character's out or like the monster's out of HP.
Right.
Sorry. So, because we've talked about this because I like having a DM screen and you would rather just roll above table when you DM. And I remember one time I was like, I need you to put up the DM screen because these players are used to a DM screen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was I just happened to know something about the players at your table that I didn't want to get into, like, in that setting. Um, but I remember feeling completely ridiculous when I walked away from that. Like, "Yep, I just made Scott put up a DM screen for no good reason."
No, I mean, not for no good
But
reason. You did have a good reason.
but it was, you just kinda trusted me and went with it, which I appreciate. 'Cause no, I tend to just play it really direct, but I do wonder, like, we have no idea, like, maybe the DM has trouble with numbers and isn't super precise. I
Sure.
also am wondering what the DM is rolling that isn't being shared, because are they rolling damage dice for the players?
That's my question too, and there's a
Huh.
lot of people really fixating on that in some of the opening comments, like what do they mean? And someone suggested maybe it's like damage to, NPCs or something like this.
Right.
Mm.
Huh. I just took it as, like, you don't know the monster's hit point max and but because they what is that part again? They said that sometimes they roll and calculate damage and don't share the result?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the part I was confused by. Well, I wonder if he's trying to see what's actually on the dice instead of what's on the dice plus the modifier.
Yes, it's every time they roll dice for damage and don't announce the damage, I ask them how much damage was dealt.
I don't know.
It's dealt. I guess it in a complicated combat, yeah, like NPCs dealing damage also, or yeah, if there are multiple factions where DM controlled
That
entity.
would just get really annoying, especially if you're trying to move the combat forward.
Like I do that all the time, right? Is like if I've got a complicated combat and one player that I'm controlling deals damage to a monster that I'm controlling, I'll just be like, roll, make a quick note, describe, and
Or
on we
start
go.
treating things as minion groups, in those instances, averaging out.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things. Like, because this is the other thing. If you're taking a lot of your advice from these public forums like Reddit, you're going to get conflicting advice all the time too. So, like, this DM might be getting advice to like, hey, just roll and round to the nearest five, or roll and round to the nearest 10,
Mm,
or just like
Just to save time.
or you'll see advice online all the time of like your monster doesn't actually have a max HP or a fixed HP. You just roll and you get the combat to a point where you think that it's dramatic, and then whenever someone has like a really good turn, that's the last turn of the combat, and it makes for a nice arc to your combat. And it's
Mhm.
not about like playing it by the rules or actually counting. Um, that works great for some tables. For some players, that would be really annoying to feel.
especially something like a big dragon, yeah.
Right. Yeah, but for some players, it would be really annoying to feel like they're in a world that doesn't have rules.
Wait, you mean hypnotic pattern didn't actually reduce the dragon's hit points to
It
0?
did.
You just decided we were done?
Oh, no, it definitely did, I saw the look on Chris's face.
No.
We broke him.
But yeah, it's complicated. Communication is the answer always.
So
And hypnotic pattern is the answer most of the time.
So this leads me to one of the comments here. I'm very curious on your takes.
Mm.
You're the asshole. The player shouldn't be looking at the monster's stats anyway. D&D does not operate under an open knowledge system. The DM has every right to not tell you how much damage is done to anything that isn't you, your class ability or companion. They also don't have to tell you the enemy AC, what bonus to hits the enemy has, how much max HP they have, what resistances they have, what damage they roll, what spells they can cast, or pretty much anything else. For example, what spell was that? Roll Arcana. How much damage did they do to the other NPC? A slash. Make a medicine check to see how bad it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I that's all a fine, fair take. I would say I am inclined to be a little more generous to this poster, um, just because like we don't know how experienced this person is. We don't know like what we don't know what else is going on at their table. We don't know what kind of way they want to engage with the game, except that they are telling us that they do like having this data, having this information. I don't think there's anything like definitely wrong with taking that approach or wanting to take that approach. It's just you've got to work that out with the other players at the table.
This is one where I wish we could ask questions.
Yeah.
Like, I wanna know, like, how would this guy feel about just noting things like vulnerabilities, weaknesses, and, like, a general, "How hard was this to beat?"
Mm-hmm.
Because, I hear him saying like, "Oh, well, like, my character would get more knowledge about how to kill this thing." That is true, like, if fire worked really well or didn't work at all, your character's gonna continue that knowledge forward. But the idea of, like, you did 36 damage, that's not real for your character. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, like, I'm a little confused. He's like, "I don't want to metagame." I'm like, "You could argue this is metagaming, number 1." Um, so, yeah, I don't know. I was laughing because I used to do but I didn't know any better. I thought the information would be relevant at some point. I don't know what the
I
fuck I
don't
was
know.
doing.
I feel like again, I'm not saying this definitely
Yeah.
should fly at every table, but I feel like this is an interesting way to play the game, and I don't wanna shut it down. Like, I can see
Mhm.
how a lot of players and a lot of DMs would be uncomfortable with this. I can see how it's not, like, a common way to play the game, but I also feel like, the numbers are always a metaphor for something that's happening in the game, right? You always have to
That's what
focus.
numbers are, metaphors. We were asking earlier, what even are numbers anyway?
Numbers are metaphors. That's right.
Your mom's a metaphor.
Ouch.
My mom's dead.
Um, no, but the
Oh, boy.
mm,
We're just gonna let the viewers handle that one.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying because, there is a part of me the same part of me that's like, "I'm gonna write down everything."
yeah.
That was fun for me. I have no idea why I was doing it. Didn't
Mhm.
need to do it, didn't need to happen, but it was fun for me.
Yeah.
So I think the question is really, like, trying to get back to that not what should happen, but, like, all of the ways it can happen and what
Yeah.
ways are compatible.
Yeah.
And also trying to negotiate a little bit because, like, I think understanding better what the DM doesn't like, that's
Yeah.
important.
Yep.
And if the answer is like, "Hey, you can know these things, you can't know these other things because it's slowing down play," that's the answer, and we move forward with it.
Yep.
And then you have to start writing in variables like X and Y in your calculations, dude, and that could be fun too. Um, yeah.
No, I
This motherfucker's got like a fucking calculus problem just like on his notes.
just full spreadsheets tracking every monster they've ever seen. But I love it. I don't know. I everything you said is absolutely true, Elizabeth. I just want to rabbit hole on this metaphor thing for a second. Like, there are so many ways where it is impossible in game to get experience in the way that your character is. Like, as a player, you are not. I mean, you are getting better at like playing the ranger class or whatever it is by getting some experience that way. But like at so many of the more intangible things that you're imagining this character doing, you're not really advancing like your number went up, so you're better at making a survival check. But like you don't necessarily know more about what kinds of things live in that forest, or whatever it is. But like here's a moment where you actually can get some kind of like tactile granular approach to that kind of feeling, like, oh, my ranger is getting better at finding the sweet spot to put an arrow in this kind of beast because they know, when we've dealt 30 damage to this beast, it's getting pretty close. I don't know. I think that's.
Well, and I could see it being very like, your tactics are gonna change when you know how much it takes to bring something down. Like, how many
Mhm.
of your resources are you gonna burn? And again, that question of resources is one that's always confusing in D&D because it's very rare for people to actually play through to where you're actually burning all of your resources every long rest,
Mhm.
um, even though the system's designed that way. So, I mean, it is helpful information to have. I don't know that it's outright harmful because, like, the person's not gonna have this information the first time through. It does make sense the second time through, they'd have a general sense of the hardiness. So I think they really need to talk about
Yeah.
where the actual sticking point is.
Yeah.
Um,
I
it
agree.
feels like
I
it'd be
think there
more
there are
helpful.
good reasons why this player might need to give up this habit, but there's also a world where it could work.
But also, like, help them find another habit or build a character that wants to catalog information or something. Because I think understanding why you're into this and why you're drawn to it can be really helpful in terms of, like, what other ways you wanna go with it.
Mhm.
Plus, like, goodness gracious, that is an engaged player at your table having a good time.
Yeah,
Don't
nothing
discourage
better.
that unless you have to.
Right. There have been some suggestions to like, what if you tried tracking these things in a way that felt more in-game? Because there, like someone says, you're stepping away from the roleplay aspect of D&D. That's a terrible monster. I know it's tough and won't be killed with one stroke. It seems to be particularly vulnerable to X and the mechanics which stand in for these traits. It has X hit points, X vulnerability resistance, etc. Um, and I think someone suggested like making a character that like keeps a creature diary, but like where you track those sorts of things and not necessarily others. So yeah.
Studies the corpse afterwards.
Right. All I know is the one guy who came out very strongly that they were the asshole does not sound like a person I want to play their game. Someone pushed them on their like, players shouldn't know anything. They said, following this logic, if you attack a monster with immunity and the DM doesn't feel like telling you that the attack did less damage than you rolled on the dice because stat blocks are not open information, that's okay with you? And they say, correct. It's up to the character and player to determine the fight was harder than expected and to use nature or medicine or animal handling or arcana to determine why. Why should a city-raised 3-int sorcerer know exactly what does and doesn't hurt a monster from the Mariana Trench? And I'm like, dude.
They will know whether the thing's bleeding as much as it should. Like, and that's where like most DMs will narrate it somehow. And we often ask, like, we do ask the question of like, does this do the damage I would expect?
Yep.
More often, I
Some
feel like
people
that
are just like
really
thinking that the
good.
DM is playing against the player.
Yeah, like that's why this comment was really interesting to me, is because it seems like a person who feels like the player's adversary, rather than like actually telling the story together.
Yeah.
Because if you're making them ask all of those questions, you're not collaborating.
The actual adversary is the patriarchy.
Always.
And capitalism.
Definitely.
And capitalism.
Yeah. All right. Do we have time for one more?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Okay. This one's a little bit of a long one. Am I the asshole for struggling to accept the DM insta-killing my PC without rolling initiative?
I want to say no, but you never know.
Last session, I experienced my first real PC death. I was playing a 6th level Gloomstalker Ranger with blind fighting, the alert feat, expertise in perception, and keen sense smell from the homebrew race I made. Me and my party were exploring a mysterious scientific building. This floor of the building was in complete darkness. Because of my blind vision and invisibility from umbral sight, I decided to open a different door than the party that needed light to see, feeling reasonably safe alone because of my 19 roll on stealth, full HP, and my PC being built specifically for this exact scenario, itching for this rare chance to take advantage of my build and umbral sight invisibility for the first time ever. Parenthetical. What is umbral sight?
I don't know. I've never played a Gloomstalker. Is it that
I thought they're just talking about being able to see in the shadows.
I assume it's a
Okay,
possibility?
we're looking it up.
Rules lawyers.
Yeah, so there's more people talking about what it is than actually like arbitrating it than there are people actually saying it. Okay, here we go. At 3rd level, you gain dark vision out to a range of 60 feet. If you already have dark vision from your race, the range increases by 30 feet. You are also adept at evading creatures that rely on dark vision. While in darkness, you are invisible to any creature that relies on dark vision to see you in that darkness. So this person has blind sight. They also have dark vision. And when they are in a shadow and in the dark, like they're describing, any creature that relies on dark vision can't see them. So you would have to have true sight or tremor sense or something to see them.
Yeah.
As soon as I open the door and step into the room, I am attacked by something I would come to learn is a slightly modified intellect devourer. Without being asked for my passive perception, 25, or to roll initiative, plus 12, I am asked to make an intelligence saving throw with my -1 modifier. I lose the 50% coin flip and end up instantly brain dead and promptly body snatched without even being able to shout for help. I didn't realize it yet at the time, but my character is already dead. I've never encountered an intellect devourer before, I didn't speak up about the initiative and let my DM cook because his word is law, and he even asked to make sure I had the alert feat and couldn't be surprised, so I assumed this was something he really wanted to happen. I don't think my party realized either. There was never any serious mood or grim realization one of our characters just died. I sat the rest of the session just watching the DM roleplay the Intellect Devourer, being kind of silly, trying his best at puppeteering my dead character and fooling the party before combat unleashing, and my party killing the Intellect Devourer after it left my character's head. So much to pick apart here. All right.
Yeah.
During the session, I googled the Intellect Devourer stat block and finally realized my character was dead. I was reprimanded by the DM for doing this, something I understand, not like I would be able to do anything with that knowledge for the rest of the session. I just sat there looking at the numbers, how I would have had an almost 90% chance to not be surprised and win initiative, how my first turn burst damage could have killed it, while I at the same time retreated 65 feet and shouted for help from my party. I withheld from complaining during the session and remained until the other players left to talk to the DM alone. He said that he didn't know that initiative should have been rolled and apologized for that, but that I should stop focusing on how I thought this was an anticlimactic and frankly embarrassing death for my character, and that I should accept it and move on as he couldn't retcon it. I love building new D&D characters, but this is the PC I've put the most thought into ever. I first played him in this campaign over 2 years ago, after learning how to homebrew balanced races and writing more lore for him than I have any other PC. I even have a painted custom mini for this character.
Oh,
I believe that he made a genuine mistake, but I'm considering quitting the campaign. Would I be the asshole if I made a huge fuss over this? Is it as bad as I think it is? It would probably be awkward to retcon it, so I don't think it would even help if he agreed to. I think the rest of the party thinks it's my mistake for going solo and are unaware how different the outcome would be. Rules is written.
first thing I have to say is like, regardless of the mechanics behind how you played that encounter, and intellect devourers are like one of these notoriously tough things.
Mhm.
Talk to your like take 2 minutes, talk to the player and say like, hey, this is what's going on. Do you want to keep playing the character who's been intellect devoured? Like, do you want to still participate in the next several hours of play that we're going to do instead of just sitting at the table and being an audience member? Like, if nothing else, I think the GM at least owed the player that.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I don't think the DM ruled all of that appropriately. Um, I also think that when in doubt, you rule in favor of the player, and when you make a big mistake like that, you retcon.
Hmm.
But absolutely. So, we're just like calling out Will. Will's killed my character twice. Got her brain out one time. Another time it was like an instant effect that I got turned into like a wraith, like I was just dead and I was a wraith. In both cases, gave us a Hail Mary shot back. And then I played all the damage done to this character in the course of coming back, and it's like completely impacted the character. I even the second time changed subclasses. But even when I had been transformed into like a wraith that was under the DM's control, he gave me the right to control it, like to at least play it, to do something in the session. Because I feel like loss of character control is a it's one of those content warnings that people skip. And to
Yeah.
me, it's one of the ones that you should skip the least.
Yeah, I think it's a really common source of bad feelings at the table. And if that's not on your radar as a DM, or if you don't know to ask about that as a player, that can really suck.
Like intellect devourers are not, I mean, they've got like what, like a +4 to stealth. Um
Yeah.
like I
But I think also in the story, the DM says they should have rolled initiative, or they should have done a roll for
They should
something.
have rolled initiative, but also that
They
passive
own,
is so stinking high.
yeah, yeah,
I
and alert and everything else on top of it. No, I mean the DM, like, sometimes you're in the heat of the moment and you don't do something at the table, and like I want to hold a little bit of grace for that, but the DM made several compounding mistakes that ended up with a big consequence for not just this character but also for the player's experience that whole night of gaming.
and like I'm sure that felt fun if the DM is thinking of themselves as like playing against the character, but you risk like losing a player from your group.
Hmm.
Yeah,
And then
this
you don't
person
know how that's going to impact the rest of
I
the
want
group.
to leave.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't blame them. Like, that's really crappy.
'Cause there's a difference
It's also
between going down swinging and whatever that was.
it's crazy to me that there wasn't even time taken to acknowledge that this character had died amongst the other characters in the session.
Hmm.
Like,
Also,
because I feel like that's so important.
having recently run Intellect Devourers, there are options for
Mhm.
like you have to act very quickly, but there are ways that a character cannot die
Yeah.
after having been Intellect Devoured. And yeah, I don't know if like they breezed past that or if like the players, good faith missed that window. Who knows? That's not really clear here, but for this player to have to look it up after the fact to learn that their character was dead also is just like salt in the wound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know. This is
rough.
annoying to me.
That's rough. I also like I think this sounds to me like another case of like the players describing I put a lot of time into my backstory. I really wanted to play this character, and a DM who it sounds like is very much like there are rules, there are consequences, there are things lurking behind doors, and I'm going to play them,
Mhm.
to the hilt as hard as I can to give you a challenge. It sounds like we don't have all of the information, but these two individuals might be trying to play different games or
I
different
mean, yes
versions.
and no, because the thing is, like, I don't think the DM gave this a fair shot
I
because
don't think
at a
so.
minimum, what happened was gonna make noise. So, like,
Hmm.
was that narrated? How
Right.
far away was the rest of the party?
Yeah.
Um, and, like,
Yeah.
I love the idea of giving the character the option, do you wanna play this puppeted character? Because they might want to.
Hmm.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
there's so much
I
here that I just don't like. Like, it's like anytime there was any doubt, it was like, let's just automatically rule in favor of the DM.
yeah. I feel like the most likely thing is because this has happened to me as a DM is like it sounds like this DM got really excited about like, oh, you're looking into that door? Like, oh, I've got something that's gonna like really change the course of this whole campaign behind that door. So now that's gonna happen. And they didn't think about like what do I owe the player? What do I owe the character? What should actually happen here to like play this out so that they get to interact with the world?
I also am
It was
just
just
confused
yeah.
mechanically. Like, so many things would have to go I guess 'cause they didn't have a high int,
Hmm.
so the 3d6 would be enough.
And I guess that's the other thing is like I don't know. I haven't looked at the new Intellect of Our stat block. I wonder if it's changed. But
I mean, I was looking at the legacy one, but I can
like I feel like they used to like older D&D used to be a lot more random and have a lot more like, oops, this happened, now you're dead. Like you didn't
Yeah,
tap
like, when I've played
yourself in the
systems
hole and yeah.
I've
So
played
like
systems based on that where, like, there's an attack and you lose a whole character level.
right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Like DCC has a lot more randomness, I know.
Mhm.
So like some players want that kind of game. It doesn't sound like this player wants that kind of game.
Mm.
Um,
Well, and even if they did, I'm like, they would want the fair shake that they are definitely not getting the way this
exactly.
So it also comes out in the comments. They say, to be fair, this happened halfway through the session, but the first half was fighting a golem that was immune to all damage I could deal.
Rough. Like bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, and they don't have a magic weapon yet.
Who can say? But
which is kinda what well, level
only way I
6.
could deal damage was maybe the 1d8 force from Zephyr Strike. The golem was weak to fire cold damage. I tried once and missed, despite advantage. All the rest of the party had a way to damage it, mostly fire spells.
Yeah, and sometimes that just happens. Like your stats line up really badly against a given
Mhm.
monster, and it just feels bad to be at the table when that's happening. Um, like I don't know, we've had that sort of thing happen at our table before.
Yeah.
Like sometimes that's a tough one to get around because it's it's hard to like tweak a character in the moment to or tweak a monster to say like, oh crap, I didn't realize that like this was going to line up so frustratingly for one player.
So the new Intellect Devourer does not take things down quite as easily.
Yeah, I believe it. I think they have redesigned a lot of that kind of monster.
The failure is just psychic damage and the target is stunned.
Oh wow.
And then for Steel Body, you need to be a small or medium creature within 5 feet that's incapacitated. Is a humanoid or beast and has 10 hit points or fewer.
Oh wow, yeah.
So you at least get like a second to fight it, or to try to get up, or for your party to react.
Yep. Yeah. Very different design. Gonna feel a lot more fair. But like you keep saying, Elizabeth, and you're absolutely right. Like this DM skipped over a lot of things that should have
Well,
made.
because what's the other interesting thing is that what actually happened was 2 turns. Like even as described with the 2014, and there was no opportunity for anybody else to react.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
one heard the sound, no one heard like
I feel like the DM just got completely carried away with this like idea and didn't play it out in game terms.
yeah. That feels icky. I think it's perfectly right to be upset by that. I feel like anytime you're making a player sit there for an extended period of time and not letting them play something, you're just
Yeah.
give them something.
I would also say, like, free advice for a GM. Like, if you have a player who comes to you after their character dies without a discussion, and they're saying, "Hey, I was really upset with this," like, find a way to retcon it or do something that's going to feel a little bit better for that player.
Well, because
Like,
they at least deserve a heroic death moment.
yeah,
I think
especially
that's the biggest thing I'm taking issue with right now is like they should have known, they should have been informed of what happened, and
yeah,
they should have been given a moment to at least describe what happened.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
at a minimum, like I think this person was a dick leading up to that, but
mhm,
even there, like that's
yeah.
almost the cardinal sin here.
Yeah.
Yep.
At minimum, like give them that option. Like, hey, what if we start the next session with like your blaze of glory moment?
There are a lot of DMs in the comments that are just like, this quote kind of sums that up. As a DM, this wasn't a mistake, this was a choice. You can absolutely retcon with the next session focused on bringing the character back.
Yeah.
A DM knows the alert feat. All combat starts with initiative, under which the ranger would be informed they are under the surprise condition. The ranger would then be able to inform them about their feat. Flippantly killing a PC with a character handpicked to target a ranger's dump stat and then comedically flaunt the dead body around the party. Come on now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Rough.
110%. Because it's again, if we're thinking in terms of story and role play, it's not satisfying for anyone that way. And I
No.
love the idea of like giving the player time to think about what they want to do because they might want their character to die. Um, so like when I had a situation where my character lost its brain, at least we were in combat. I didn't totally understand it was a risk at that point, but could have put 2 and 2 together. And this was a character that would take the risk anyway. But like came up with an absolutely harebrained scheme with the team that we had to hit every green light, like multiple things in a row. There was a very limited amount of time before the brain assimilated into this creature's body. And then there were, even though we did that, like I talked to the DM about let's have some consequences. Like it's a story.
Yeah.
Like I remember Scott, one of your character deaths was rough and then motivated everything that happened in the party for like
Yeah.
ever after that.
And that feels
He was like more of a hero in death than in life, I think.
Yes, absolutely. I was going to say like that feels awesome to have played through that and like to still hear the party talking about like, oh, this character, you know, making jokes about them or like you know, reminiscing or whatever it is. Like that feels really
Not
good.
wanting to give me fireball.
Right. Everyone making fun of the character who cast the fireball.
Okay, but my character told you to do it, so you always have that. But no, because then yeah, my character is so messed up over this and ends up like trying to find out what secret society you're involved in. And now that character I occasionally use as a puppet master and other things I DM when it's convenient And like my whole imagined trajectory for that character, kind of everything shifted after that.
Yeah.
Like that's the defining moment for that. And now there's like little parties of little kids, mostly teenagers, running around Faerun, like doing things inspired by Brother Gwaelin. They don't even know it.
Amazing.
So it's like death is not the worst thing, and a lot of players will embrace their character death.
Death
But
done
you
right.
should take it seriously and like let them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you do it right, it can be an awesome story moment. Obviously, this player does not feel like that's what happened.
No.
Have you heard the Reddit story? They read it on Smosh once, where they were playing in a dungeon and this guy had missed a session. Like he'd missed the week before for something. He comes back. They're doing just like a dungeon crawl, and for some reason there was a bird in the dungeon. And the bird just keeps attacking this guy with advantage and like kills him. And the only explanation is the DM's like, I don't know, the bird hates you.
That's awful.
Because I think it also started with the DM saying like because you missed last session, your character's like out of sorts, so every roll is gonna be with disadvantage. So it was like really, really clear that like the DM was just like pissed that the guy missed a session
Yeah.
and was out to get him and kill him with this bird. And that idea of like the bird just hates you is now like the thing in my head for when DMs are just being petty and
That's so childish.
Yeah, the bird just hates you.
Yeah. That's
yeah, DMs do better.
seriously. Let's all just try and remember that we're playing with other humans.
Right. Well, I remember when my character got petrified, and basically, like, for the rest of that session, I ended up commandeering an NPC so that I would just, like, have something to do.
Right. At
Right?
least Chris found a way for you
Yeah.
to still play the game.
And then when we realized it was going to be, like,
a few
a
sessions.
process to, like, unpetrify me,
Yeah.
he was like, well, let's, like, basically, my character's sister showed up. So that, like, I was like having something to do
Mhm.
and could like be a part of the like unpetrification story.
Yeah.
You know, like
There's so many ways to handle it too. Like
Yeah.
I've had some situations comparable to that where the thing that it happened to, like the character it happened to, that player wanted to play out a whole other thing one-on-one. So like it happened at the end of a session, and then I met with the party and they were like having to deal with this unconscious whatever. And then I had a different session with that one player. We were playing through like what was happening in the character's mind during this and like how they were being attacked by these dark forces. But like there's so many fun ways to do it. Just
Yeah.
work with your player because it
Yep.
can be the best story moment, but just making somebody sit there and sit on their hands,
So
boring.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, this was fun. Thanks for picking out stories, Caitlin.
yeah, these were great.
Thanks for talking about my stories.
I
Mm-hmm.
love it. So yeah, next week, maybe the last episode of Mothership.
Ooh.
We left off with Scott's character in very dire straits indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see
Yep.
how that plays out.
I mean, it's Mothership. It wouldn't be the first character death already in only a few episodes, but
And it's
maybe
like we're gonna do
that's-
this thing. It's gonna be 4 episodes. We're gonna be like, how many character deaths can we cram in?
but maybe that's
Um,
where we're headed.
It's wild because like we haven't been doing stuff quite this flavor of dark. It's been fun.
Mhm.
Then after that, PAX East, we are working on maybe some ways to stream from PAX. We'll keep y'all posted. After that, we may start another TTRPG and try more systems. Because I think we're having fun doing this. And this was one of the things requested in our Discord. So yeah, if you haven't, you can consider joining our Discord. You can give us a follow. You can subscribe. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription every month, but every single month you have to go in and use it. So yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Share our stuff, comment, all of the words I'm supposed to say that I forget. You know how to show us you're
Well.
engaged and love us. But yeah.
Thanks, everyone.